Okay, well, Levin, it's time to find out which plan they're going with, because the next game is ready for us. So, casters, over to you.
Hey, I'm right there with you, Levin. I think you gotta tear the original game plan to pieces at this stage, Vivid, because they don't have much time left to work with. It's only 3 lobbies, and the margins are very slim for error right now.
I'm sticking with Mini Miner. I've said it multiple times before. I like sticking to what you know.
What if it doesn't work, though? What if you're in that game 5, game 6 situation? I agree with Levin that you might have to just kind of throw it all to the wall, leave no stone unturned, and really leave no regrets behind, because at the end of the day, there's nothing to lose. The second half of the day and game 4 is ready, so let's jump right in.
Probably one of the names that sticks out most, though, from during that halftime segment, Clix and Higgs. Sitting in that 35th position currently, just outside of the top 25. Granted, Sky and Scroll have already proven one good match, one strong elimination counter can change course entirely and catapult you
Yeah,
to
but I
that
need
threshold
to make
you
top
need to
spawn
just go
and no
straight to
one.
finals.
Yep, now we got another team joining back into the mix. They may have left at least one game before, but Mini Pio and Fukun are back at Sandy Strip. So we're back on over to our triple contested fight. Interesting enough, it really hasn't affected Kanata and Victor V on that other side.
Yeah, taking their quadrants there. Quick little peek over here towards Wonky Land. Clix and Higgs, they got to be feeling the pressure during the halftime. I got the opportunity to
Come on,
talk to Clix.
kids.
He was like, yeah, we're fully aware of the situation. It feels like Shark and Teeny are already qualified. They can pretty much do whatever they want to us right now because they got to be feeling comfortable.
And that's exactly where Shark and Teeny are headed. It is setting up home base here in Wonkyland to try and prevent Higgs and Clix from having those comeback measures. Still, job's not finished. You have to remember that because of the lower bracket's existence, nothing is necessarily solidified just yet. You still have tomorrow, worst case scenario.
Yeah, and while you have nothing to lose, don't want to give up on those opportunities. Both and Fringe just outside of the bubble as well. Contested fight against Visual and Braids. Both of these teams performed phenomenally on their respective regions, but when you're in a contested fight like this that honestly made some changes before the Summit land, and they weren't necessarily the best for a contested fight, so you really got to go ahead and get all of the loot to yourselves.
I'm going to be a hawk when we're taking a look at all these POVs. As we do take a look towards the elimination feed, Cole does go down, but on the screen, we've got Vocal, we've got Fringe, both picking up their respective eliminations, and that's going to be a clean wipe for them. An 8-point swing is going to put them on 50 points. And when we were taking a look at the leaderboard, right, that 25th place threshold was right around there. So that's going to be helping them out tremendously.
Well, it looks like a decent amount of teams that weren't necessarily faring the best here have already decided to try and switch things up. But Clix, Higgs still entangled here with Shark and Teeny, who have decided to just take the fight straight to them.
Why you done with Fat Ale in this small freaking house?
Instantly tried to collapse, but now
Nice.
Shark 100 pump. That's going to be all of his shield. He has to fall back. He's waiting for Teeny to take the reins here, but
I
Teeny,
should start
it's a look
waiting, made
strategy,
it.
trying to see if he can find a separate angle.
Only
trying to see if
one
he can get that
needs
closing
it,
shot
kids.
onto Clix or Higgs, but for right now, the leverage
Maybe
sits
start need 10 more
entirely with
points
Higgs and
to
Clix.
make it,
Yep,
but
even though
not.
Shark and Teeny almost all but qualified here to Sunday, you can kind of see why. They're just trying to shut down Clix and Higgs, not let them feel comfortable, get them out of the game early so that way they have a much harder chance making it through the lower bracket and eventually possibly contesting them. So it's really going to come down to how much Shark and Teeny want to continue to put this pressure down. On the flip side, though, for Clix and Higgs, I was talking to a couple of the co-streamers myself, from Boop to Faxity and Ozzy, to where it's like, what does Clix and Higgs need to do? And right now, we kind of all were agreeing. You either need to fight Shark and Teeny, or you just need to run away. And right now, it looks like they're going to fight Shark and Teeny.
Absolutely. They do have the position as they currently kind of get out from the boxes that they have been sitting in for so long. They now officially have the higher ground. Batini's looking to take the fight to Clix. He gets one shot in, gets a shot on the Higgs as well. He's done so much damage as they've got the advantage, but Clix does get a little bit of a return shot. That's going to be 58 damage towards his way. Shark's going to have the advantage right now. He's going to
Kids have no
spray.
fucking
Clix is
deal.
looking a little bit lost. He has no materials to work with. He's going to be playing zero build as he does get knocked.
The problem there is that Clix is looking one way, but Shark and Teeny,
Come
they
on,
got him
Higgs.
straight in the middle, and Higgs only so many options remain here currently because Shark, he's immediately trying to get on the impressor one more time.
Fuck.
Under pump, and that's going to do it. Pigs trying everything in
Did that
his game, but
then,
it's Clicks who gets pickaxe, and those Clicks and Higgs have left the lobby so early in game 4.
Salt on the wounds, the pickaxe into the emote. Again, Shark and Teeny are in a situation where they literally almost have nothing to lose. They are so far inside of that top 25. They need multiple games of going down off spawn. Even in the replay, Clicks gets caught out of position by himself. And Higgs, even though there was an advantage in terms of HP, he just tried to lurk. They caught him through the builds and then eventually pickaxed him back to the lobby.
Man, my reaction was if I had just eaten a sour candy. So brutal to kind of watch that one happen. Still 2 opportunities left for Clicks and Higgs. Let's hope for the best there as we're taking a look at some of our other teams around the map. Reet and Cooper, Brilliant and Jargu still up here towards the north. The Storm is going to be playing a part of this as it currently stands, but they're happy to kind of chill out and hang out up here.
Brilliant also definitely very content to get this first knock onto Ritual, but he's not finished. He's still looking to keep everything pushing forward. And Carillion, while he will take a moment to sit back, Agers gets put into the dirt there.
Oh, damn.
Double elimination pickup. It is a very quick start for some of these teams.
Yeah, this is almost like a Cinderella story for Jargu and Carillion. They were literally almost not making it here. A few roster changes at the last moment, and it works out. They catch fire when they need it most. Thomas and Focus kind of doing the same things, landing over at Riptides. You know, they usually make their way down towards the south, but this time around, they went up north just a little bit towards Squibbly Shores, and they're still finding the picks that they need.
Nico and Malabuka, yeah, they're getting all of Frigid Fortress to themselves, but they know there are some teams surrounding them to the south. FKS and Hero are going to be finding their early demise to a team that's not too happy. They're taking some loot in the surrounding areas. FKS just gets beamed in the open. Shields are all gone, and Vigo knows exactly how to play aggressive. He knows the mechanics of Fortnite so well. He instantly gets in and finishes that one off.
And part of that was just a little bit of a hiccup at the starting point there for Hero and Bacchus. They were doing what they could to try and salvage their starting point. We know that Bacchus was left in that really awkward position to begin with, but they're not the only duo. It's kind of just looking up and seeing what's going to happen to this leaderboard development after game 4. iDrop and Medius, they're dealing with Twy and Cringe currently, who are riding off the momentum of that 3rd place victory royale.
Yeah, and right now, with our top 2 players in damage, Hold and Panzer, our top teams out of this lobby, this is going to allow for the players at the bottom of the leaderboard, right up to the middle, to get more points. Because those guys were winning games. They were siphoning them out with eliminations. But now Cringe and Twy, 119. It's not necessarily a battle for first. You only want top 25, but you also want to push your competition out. You want to beat them both in-game and mentally as well.
And establishing the idea that, yeah, I was kind of mentioning around 50 points was that 25th place, and that's at the halfway point. So we just kind of double that over the course of the next 3 games. You can kind of expect that threshold to be around 100 points. And look at this, just a patented strat from Veno and Curve. Anybody that finds themselves anywhere north, near the southwest side of the map, just gets lurked on. His focus is going to be on the receiving end of that one.
And the big thing here, the one word that's sticking out to me right now is what Levin highlighted on the desk: conditioning. Curve and Veno, they haven't necessarily ran the same thing back twice, but they are trying to condition this lobby to not be able to anticipate where it is they're looking to set up base. They're pushing out into Riptides, they're pushing the south sections of South Boulevard, and it's just very difficult for these teams to find their footing. And Focus, Thomas, the strong competitors, but Veno is just going to immediately send the lights out there for Thomas, because they're now waiting to see whether or not they even are aware of the fact that Darm and Demus are nearby.
Yeah, Darm and Demus probably watching the feed. Thomas, Focus, they go down. Well, that's Riptides. They immediately made their way on over, and they're pulling a play out of the Veno playbook. They're working on Curve and Veno. They're just trying to make sure that if they make a mistake, they're going to be there to answer the call. And you can see, when it comes to materials, they're good. It's the bandages that worry me out of Darm, and you can see why he's even kind of rotating on over to Riptides. They wanted the mending machine, but they get damaged. That's the cherry on top.
And that's all they were really looking for. You could see how how long they waited for Curve and Venom to kind of retreat, for them to actually go ahead and open up the shots right there. They didn't really want them to be close. They were just interested in getting some of that damage. So the eliminations were not really on their mind, just kind of playing it safe and making sure they can kind of find themselves in the end game. Venom and Curve got to be feeling pretty good about how they are doing so far in this game. And Sky and Scroll, as pointed out by the man himself earlier on, continuously find themselves in bases around Battlewood that are just up on these little hills over here, right? All they're interested in doing is just getting as many tags as they possibly can without taking any damage.
Still going to take some time here, because the real winning moment for Sky and Scroll was just finding themselves jumping up so many placements on the leaderboard. And Vico, Malabuka, they're not content with what they've been able to accomplish so far here today. They're looking to be very safe in terms of top 25, but still, they want more. They want to take out as much opposition as possible, because they don't want to allow anyone that they might view as being interested in what they have up for grabs at their starting point on the map. Yuma, with a little bit of a question mark surrounding this duo, because we know that they've been kind of trying to infiltrate Dark Dominion, but it's difficult to control this POI.
Yeah, especially when you got Vico and Malabuka, a team that's on fire, hunting you down. They got that first elimination, and they made sure to keep pressure onto Yuma by himself, and just really keep note, because Swizzy and Pixie are also in Dark Dominion, and they made sure to keep the fight contained underneath, where they knew no third party had a chance.
But as soon as the elimination comes in, Malabuka seemingly just stalls out, holds that right-hand peek. He knows that somebody's around him. I have no idea how he has that information, but Vico and Malabuka, they look scary, as it looks like they have one thing in mind, just to play aggressive. And somebody that's kind of came out this weekend on Friday that is looking pretty comfortable with 116 points, it's Kanata and Victor V.
They definitely got to be feeling really good about their current state. They know that they're not necessarily at a huge risk of falling outside of that top 25, but you still want to keep things pretty tidy. You still want to ensure that you see the whole mission through and are on that battle bus for finals come Sunday.
Yeah, and you got to think about a team like this for Victor V and Kanata. Victor V, kind of the young superstar, especially on NA West. He really got his first shot playing with these kind of known players with Paper. The next year, he played with Paper and Epicwell, qualifying for the Global Championship in both of those respective tournaments through NA West. And now he was playing with another player in Kanata, bringing out the best. And I've said it for years, Victor V has the potential to be one of the superstars in NA. He just needs to be playing with the upper echelon players, bringing him out of it. The potential, and I do think Kanata is that player that's been doing such a good job. He called that I'm going to NA West, I'm not only going to win, it's going to be a cakewalk, and that's exactly what we saw.
A couple of our teams still stranded out in the storm, right? We saw Cammy and Hari. They're kind of making their way over here. They tune in to iDrop and Marius. They are also still in the storm, and again, I'm always looking towards those points. 40 for the duo right now, which puts them surely outside of contention. As you can see, top right, 33rd, it surely does. So there is actually a lot of pressure on them right now. And look, no surprise, Benno and Curve crouched once again.
Benno and Curve trying to see if they can creep up on anybody unexpectedly over by Battlewood Boulevard, but there's no room for stopping iDrop and Medius. Seems like they were able to pick up what they were after. They were trying to camp out that tunnel, hoping that somebody would opt to try and see if they can actually pass through it, and the patience has paid off.
I fucking done still with this blade.
That iDrop actually finds overhead.
Yeah, and that's got to be a big boost of confidence, taking down kind of the team that's just kind of taken over EU for the most part, saying it loosely with Sky and Scroll there as well. But I'm talking about the new gen teaming up with Shark, 46 above the damage threshold. And Shark is in a position here so we can't necessarily play for the reboot, even though we are rotating on over towards Battlewood Boulevard. Vivid, Taco, you guys know as well as I do. Once you hear where he's starting to reboot and eventually it pops off,
10 more points to be safe, I
we're
think.
into the zone, and seeming like Sky and Scroll just moved for the first time throughout the entire game. They were still in that box. I'm sure they're going to be max materials, because just that little bit of a tower that they had, it was like too high. They used nothing on it, and they were able to sit there for the entirety of the early game. They got to be feeling pretty good, especially with the fact that the zone is landing in their home.
See, that might be a new view for you two, but I know over at EU Major 1 Finals, that was one of the most familiar scenes to anticipate from Sky and Squirrel, but Jonas, Veloz, they're gonna get that ball rolling here. X1, unfortunately, not gonna be able to push back, and Jonas will find an elimination, but you need more than elims at this phase. You need to start converting those into strong placements to really play leapfrog with the leaderboard.
Yeah, just relying on elims means you're just kind of relying to steamroll the lobby. And I think in game one, we saw that early Peterbot really kind of thinking it was going to be an easy fight and kind of going down early. Chap and Flixie rotating on over. A rather safe rotation for the most part. They're 500 above the damage threshold, but they're using these dips inside of Battlewood Boulevard. They get natural terrain so that teams can't secretly lurk on them or get shots, but they make it to inside of the zone. There's already 1, 2, 3, 4 teams waiting for them on the other side.
And that's what makes it so tough sometimes when these zones do pull so far away from you. You have to rotate into anybody that's already kind of set up. Vico and Malibuca once again going for the eliminations. They see Muzz. They know exactly what's kind of going on over here. They go ahead and pick up an easy elimination in regards to how they can go ahead and establish that. And Shark looking for eliminations of his own. He's a solo, and he just picked up 2.
Gerald and Vazen didn't stand a chance against Shark's domination there, but 255 above, he got enough wiggle room to at least box up momentarily and restore his shields with these last couple of big pots, but more importantly still, the solo points that he's actually been able to build. Normally you wouldn't want to bank it all off of elims, but when you've got 5 to your name, it does make a difference after they've already had a strong performance from these last couple of lobbies. Just making it off spawn seems to be the difference maker.
Gets the memo there in that moment. All the lobby does. They see him out as a solo, and they got to put pressure. Mini Pio is the first one to fall. Vazen's there. He peeks through the fizz, gets the elimination onto 1. This is looking like a montage right now with Shark just crossing names off his list. And I'm getting that old Peterbot feeling of years past. Like, yeah, he's a solo, but for some reason, I'm not worried.
My gosh, Shark, and look at him. He is still in the mix of things right now. He could go ahead and take a back seat to the ride that we have here in the late game, but he's looking to still get active. And when you think about it, he really does need to. 35 builds left to his name, but I'm mainly looking at that HP that he has left. He has nothing in his inventory that can go ahead and help support him over there. Take a look at the other side of your screen. iDrop and Marius, they are under pressure right now. Storm Surge is striking. He's going to try to make something happen, but he goes down 44 points to his name.
I'm starting to feel like Vico might have heard he was leading in eliminations. They're tied, and now he's like, nah, I want to be first place instead. But Malibuca's still looking to play catch up, and even still, Shark all by his lonesome.
Oh, he's still alive.
The way that he's playing, he's got the confidence of 2 behind him. It's evident in all of his movements. Even going to get an opportunity to try and replenish some of his loadout off of these vending machines, but trouble might strike when you least expect it, and Malibuca Vico have just been completely causing so much chaos in this lobby. Finally, gonna catch a little bit of punishment for it. Slightly greedy with their wraparound, looking to not tarp it out fully. So they were spotted, lit up a bit, but still 712 above. They don't care about the surge.
Yeah, even if they go down here, I almost all but 100% got their spot secured. 200 points, almost leading the pack. If they win this game, that would definitely be certain. But you see Peterbot, Poyo, Shockwave into the front side of the zone. You see Reet and Cooper elevated on one of those electrical wires. Everybody just really pushing themselves to the limit. They realize, yes, we don't go home today. We can't get eliminated, but this is the best shot we got at making finals.
Shark here still making the solo clutch kind of happen. Only 18 builds to work with. He's completely fine in terms of HP now. Oh my gosh, an entire loot llama just drops right in front of him. He's going to be able to use that. And on the other side, Pablo is also a solo, but in a completely different scenario. 133 below. He's got to make something happen soon.
Just waiting for the zone to keep closing in. From the backside of the zone, he might be able to find some other players that are struggling just as much as himself. Only he's hoping that he'll be able to eliminate them first. Darkos has been knocked. Reet and Cooper, another one of our duos that's definitely looking for a big-time performance here. They want to see just how far in the leaderboard they can jump. And Pete, Poyo, well, things have been a little bit slow today. They're looking to amp it up now. Cole has been dropped. And now Pete, Poyo, looking for the biggest refreshes, but they don't even necessarily need them.
A complete anomaly. Peterbot and Pollo going in the 8 zone with 0 eliminations, but finally they pick up the one that they need to continue the run here. As you can see, the hunt is on. They're continuing to look back towards the rotating side of zone. They want to start to ramp up the eliminations.
Yeah, they're probably realizing at this stage in the game, the early game eliminations might not mean as much as just having consistent performances throughout the end game. But Reet and Cooper, they get contested on the high ground. Sayaz and Scary are now in the clouds. They're able to look down and put pressure on the rest of the lobby and even find the elimination onto Cooper.
The last thing you want to see if you are in Reem Cooper's position, but Pete, he's just lost Pollo. Turning back, realizes that he's still getting aggressed by the rest of the lobby. That immediate focus proving to work against them, but Vico, Malabuka now frontside low. They're waiting to see just who they can actually snag up here. But first, Vico breaking ambushes. Peterbot still playing the low side, but he sees Malabuka, doesn't get a chance to actually fire the shot, but he comes straight to him, and that's gonna be Madden instead. That Pete converts into an elimination. He needed that material.
The lobby's got to put a stop to Peterbot very soon, because when he gets rolling, it's hard to stop that guy. As we tune into the healthy duo of Kanata and Victor V, they're gonna be taking hold of the mid ground right now and halting right now to go ahead and heal up. Vico finds his demise. Gab Zero is now gonna have the low ground clean for himself.
Yep, Peterbot now with no builds, forced to lurk down below, getting as much as he can out of the fizz, but it's only so much before Sky and Scroll run him down. 4 eliminations here, just like I was speaking on Cold and Rapid a few games ago. Sky and Scroll could be one of those first teams for multiple wins here. Bahari, Cammy, they have 4 eliminations as well. They're starting to catch fire in this perfect moment. Top 7 situation. There's only 2 solos running around right now, and Kanata's one of them.
But Kanata, he'll be forced to fall back, eat his last slice of pizza. He knows that he's got a team looking straight at him. It's Sky and Scroll refusing to budge. They're gonna force Kanata to take a different route entirely, and Hadi now left as a solo. 4 eliminations already, just trying to look down onto the teams that are underneath where he's currently situated, doing his best to crouch around, but Sayas and Scatty are still holding down height. Finally, they'll be forced to converge with the rest of the lobby here.
Yeah, they started to feel the pressure. They felt like they were too high. They wanted to get into the mix. They dropped all the way down. They look for some shots. Sky and Scroll going to be amongst the duo that's going to be getting tagged right there. They have the advantageous ground. This is exactly where they want to be. But the solo was in the mix. He's trying to cause chaos. It's going to be Damus, but he cannot find the shot. Sky's going to pick him up, but not before falling down. And it's going to be Scary up on the high ground to find the final elimination. They're going to be picking up the win here in game number 4.
Wow.
They fought for that high ground, and they earned that high ground, using that to turn it into a victory royale on one of the biggest stages of them all. Has to have them feeling on top of the world. That is without a doubt for sure, Frankie.
Congratulations. Come please stand up, Sayas, Scary Sean. Here is the camera. Düsseldorf, please give it up for Sayas and Scary Sean.
I know what
You
to
can
say
see
something,
the
but
Spanish flags waving in the audience.
kids,
What's it like to take a victory royale on your first ever
Leah
lap?
Dibbit playing
it's
a
like really nice
kid
to
made fun
win a
of
victory royale.
tomato.
We knew we were gonna win. Like
Any
it's
not
so
playing.
easy. It's easier than a big one in Europe.
Easier than you thought it was going to be. Again, we're seeing this with the high ground. Duos seem to be getting it for free. How did you know, though, that you could take it from Reet and Cooper? Because that was an incredible challenge.
I mean, we just saw they were like kinda lost there, so we just used a shockwave and we killed them easily. I don't know.
Well, I mean, you did eliminate Reet in order to take the high ground from them. What is next for you guys now? Because with a performance like that, you have to be qualified for Sunday. Do you think it's going to be so easy to take the trophy?
Yeah, to be honest, yeah. To be honest.
To be honest.
Yeah, to be honest, yeah.
Well, listen, we've got so many Spanish fans, as we've already heard in this audience. So please, one more time, give it up for Sayas and Scary Sean. We're going to head to a break.